I think the Tibetan monks, yep, we going through that. We'll link on the 5 M's. All right, that's pretty much the end of my presentation.
Right, but these are the navigators, and of course navigators, they want to be out at night because then you're out in the open sea and you see above you the great dome of the sky with all the stars. So really, navis, navigator, right, is a code word still used in Masonic circles to represent these stargazers. There was a goddess cult as well. You get that turning up in the Holy See of the Roman Catholic Church, because it's the sea, the Great Sea, is actually a euphemism for the stars. People don't know that. So when somebody crosses the ocean, they're not talking about a physical ocean. They're talking about the metaphorical, another pun. And the sea serpent and the sea dragon came, and this happened and that happened. It's all about star lore. Unbelievable. The story of John the Baptist and his beheading, that has to do with what appears above the horizons. Jesus born in the manger, is to do with cancer, and the Holy Family have to cross a wilderness. Well, cancer was called the wilderness. There's a little constellation up there right now called Cradle. It just becomes the manger. The donkey and the ass are always connected to Cancer. That was one of its early symbols. I mentioned Kefra, the crab, but also it is the ass or the donkey. So when he's riding into Jerusalem, and all the rest of it, this all decodes back to lore. In fact, the very Gospels, 4 of them are the cardinal points of the zodiac. Not just the calendar, but Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John represent the grand cross that is the zodiac, and then the stories unfold. So they're already telling you by the fact that there was 4 Gospels. It's a hint. It's a pun. And if you know how to decode it, then you'll know which one of them represent which signs. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You have to go into the etymology and look at that. And I've got that all in my Astrotheology book. So the way that their minds worked. Take another motif that's very common, the Great Hunt. You see the Pharaoh on his chariot, that's Cancer. The sign of Cancer is next to Leo, and of course Leo and Cancer represent the 2 thrones, the sun and the moon, the queen and the king. But when you see the Pharaoh on his hunt, don't you see in the Celtic countries the hunt for the white stag? And you always see this fountain motif, the white deer. It'll become pertinent in a minute when we read the Song of Emigan. And also then the whole underworld, right? When the sun does drop below the horizon and goes through these 6 signs, they were called the underworld, counterpointing the 6th overworld arch. But you get this motif in mysticism and esotericism called the underground stream. And it was said, so you say, like the Milky Way, that has both an upper world manifestation and it has this lower world as it moves towards galactic center. So there was always an idea in the ancient times that there were these 2 hemispheres, 2 realms of the descent into the underworld, where you meet trials and challenges and weird hybrid beasts and so on.
Listen to reason. Understanding, unity, uniqueness, utopia, ugliness, underworld, upper world, and ultimateness are words beginning with the letter U. The U in the word nature and understanding is perception of persons, places, and things. Nature, space, matter, and time is totally and absolutely inseparable unity because it is unique, the only one of its kind, and this one of its kind includes all other kinds, plus the fact that space, matter, and time cannot be separated and cannot separate themselves. All ugliness too belongs to nature, for nature is all persons, all places, and all things. Utopia is a state of nature in the upper half of the circle of order during the time of existence, and the underworld and nature when it is in death, and the upper world is nature when it is in life, and of course nature's ultimateness, the final state and condition of every person, place, and thing existing. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. All right, so this is an example that Afro Unu, rest in power, had drew, and here's coming from book 3, page 36 of the PDF. You see, this is the upper half. This is the stuff that Mr. Tesarion and the Greeks and the Romans then was speaking about, which was already gone when everybody came on the scene, even us. We were descendants of our ancestors, and before that we grew the universes. But to keep it on a human level, the top half was gone by the time we was originated, which is right here, which is 6 west of existence, of the horizon of existence. So that would be beyond 18 million years ago. That'll take us back 54 million years ago, back to 6 east. All right, so when you talk about life in heaven and Noose and all these things like that, NoopooH and things, this is when everything was in a state of life. That's dealing with 7 ether, 8 ether, and 9 ether. When we came down here, our ancestors hit 6 west and descended into the duat, to which is the word they use for our ancestors used for the underworld. This is the underworld of existence. Then you had smaller variation, but then you have an underworld under the ground of the planet where Osiris dwells sometimes, and then but now in the atmosphere. But that's a whole nother conversation. So this is where we at. We're right here at the bottom of hell, or Hades, or Tartarus, and this is from here to 3 south is 18 million years. So we've been here 18 million years. It's 18 million 60 years. So this is different versions of the smack circle of space, matter, and time, called Namuti. Totality, eternity, infinity, the triad states of condition. Alright, so this is the smack circle of order, or cosmos. Again, it's the end. This is when our ancestors, the pygmy gods and goddesses, when the life of life and the universe all together was life. And then as everything must eventually die in one form or another, the universe went through what's called scientific death. That's when all of the chemicals that was able to keep the universes vivacious and regenerating after 36 million years could no longer maintain that, start to lose those things, and then 9 ether turned into 6 ether, 6 ether partially turned into 3 ether, ghost, and all that stuff at the bottom. So these are just different forms of life at the top half. This is the upper world, the true upper world. Okay, this is semi-chaos. This is a smack circle of disorder, when the universes eventually disintegrate for a period of 80 turns, 5,760,000,000 years of chaos and grinding it down to dust. And then the universe goes through, the one supreme being goes through a state of basically relaxation for that period of time to rejuvenate itself and start all over again. All right. And this is the disorder after they go through this many turns. And then eventually after those turns, it comes back this way, comes up this way, and existence starts here at 3, 4, 5, 6, and the universe is born all over the place at 7, which is 6 east, and on and on and on and on and on.
And when you wanted to cover for this, you just would say, I've drank of the underground stream. And everyone would know. You see, if you put this in a poem or a piece of writing, you go, oh, okay, we understand what this means. And it has an but the underworld is also the overworld. It's the black dome of the sky. Think about, another pun would be, Samson was told to go and grind the corn. You know, and up in Scandinavia, you've got Mjolnir, the great wheel, the great weight that crushes the grain. And you get this in the story of Samson when he's put down into the underworld and given this extraordinary job to do, because, oh, you're so powerful, you're the big boy. Yeah, let's give you some real work to do. And everybody mocks Samson. Well, that motif of the millstone is the mill of the great seat, the great round of the zodiac. That's a pun on it. In Welsh mythology, they've got Caer Shidi, right? It's called a fort or a castle, but it goes round and round and round. Or it's called the revolving chair. Same thing again. Round table in the later Arthurian legends. You get the same in Ireland, the idea of this circularity. These are all puns in a story. And the knights of the table who have all these different adventures. Even the symbol of a chalice is a metaphor for the dome of the night sky. And oh, Jesus, if you study Masonry, you'll find out that it's just absolutely loaded with this. But and also another motif that jumps to mind is the motif of twins. Set and Horus, Sir Balin and Sir Balin, Mark and Arthur. The twin motif, the dark sister and the light sister, that is found all over the world. And that twins comes from, again, the sign of Gemini. Should be obvious to people there. And these are just the ones off the top of my head that I can remember. But let's go to qualify the story of the West. Let's go to the poem for a minute, if we could. The Song of Emmerdon. People can look it up. It's translated from the Gaelic. And now, if you go back and listen deeply to what James was saying, and now you come back to this and read this poem, remember it? What thousands of classicists never even dreamed of, let alone could translate properly, you'll be able to translate. So I'll just read through it. He says, it begins, I am the wind on the sea. I am the wave of the sea. I am the bull of 7 battles. And that can also mean battlements, but just let's keep it as it is, battles. I am the eagle on the rock. I am the flesh from the sun. I am the most beautiful of plants. I am a strong wild boar. Remember the killing of the bull by Mithra, right? I am a salmon in the water, and we could just deal with that symbolism in Celtic mythology, the sacred salmon of wisdom. We could go on and on. I am a lake on the plain. I am the word of knowledge. Wait a minute. Word of knowledge? In the beginning was the word, the Logos. It's in Ireland years before. Okay. I am the head of the spear in battle. King Saul is the thrower of the great spear. Look it up. It's all taken from Irish mythology, the god Lu and other things. He says, I am the head of the spear in battle. I am the god that puts fire in the head. I am the god that puts fire in the head? I mean, what could that possibly mean? Who spreads the light in the gathering on the hill. So I am the God who spreads light on the gathering on the hill. We talked last time about the importance of that God is without, right? Before he became within, you worshiped him at a sacred zone, a sacred place. Who can tell the ages of the moon? Who can tell the place where the sun comes to rest? So these lines about, and also being an eagle, in the story of Ireland, you see the shape-shifting involved here. Amergin can actually also become a stag. He calls himself the stag of the 7 antlers in other versions of the poem. But the last lines there, who can tell the ages of the moon, and who can tell where the sun comes to rest, is purely zodiacal, as is the rest of it. There's in another version it's like, I am he of the 7 hurdles. The hurdles were like battlements or protections around Tara. You'll often hear Tara, the capital city of the kings of Ireland, being protected by 7 hurdles. But this is you find this in Tolkien. You find it in a lot of. In fact, the number 7, as we said, is the hurdles up there.
They call me Peace and War Times. This is Noone Science and Astrotheology, Part 1. by Zane Kochve Lechit NoopooH, 7 black walking orbs / planets.
So every time you see the number, you know you're talking stellar occult. Originally. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, even that. You'd be amazed where that comes from. This event in the heavens must have happened at least 3,000 years ago. I'm happy with that. I don't have any problem pushing it way back, because that look at the level of understanding is already very advanced. You know, your Daniel and your Archimandrites, your Magi. This level of kenning, this level of what he spoke about when he's talking about the puns, is so intricate that didn't just come in 5 minutes. These people have had at least 500 years or 1,000 years to get with this, which means the event, if I'm right, happened back then. But you know, I don't make the dates that important, because there's many celestial events. There was even a comet issue that we've spoken about before. So I don't really care about the dates. It was 10,000 BC or 3,000. Everybody's going to chime in with their own theory. What it did was it turned our heads up to look at the stars. Are these messages from the gods? And if they are, you better be paying attention. So a group of astronomy began, with people getting up at night and observing the messages of the stars. Then you got to do one better than that. You've got to interpret. Well, you try it. You see a couple of meteors. They come out every year. The Taurids, at the time of, in fact, we just had them recently. As we pass through the sign of Taurus and Gemini, you get these flashes on the sky, these meteor storms. They happen every year, and so on and so on and so on. And not to mention even the movement of the sun and all the things we've mentioned. You interpret it. You know, once you're able to decode it properly, then you realize this came from navigators. This came from Phoenicians. People who love the sea, people who love this night sky, and their iconography and their gods and their goddesses all, you know, emanated out of this. But the key to it all is the astrotheology. So any churchman, anybody who's meant to be into religion, who doesn't understand the power of the night sky, they're still in kindergarten level.
Michael Tesarion, thank you.